Still on News Desk, Joy News investigation has revealed that municipal and district assemblies across the country are struggling with huge debts after they were forced to sign a waste landfills management contract with one of the subsidiaries of the Jospon Group, Waste Landfills Management Limited. The 210 municipal and district assemblies do not have engineered landfill sites, but the contract is not to create one. The company is expected to level the refuse dump sites. This costs every assembly an average of 320,000 cedis a year. Joy News has also learned the Ministry of Local Government and Rural Development is unable to provide the CID with some of the documents and contracts requested as part of its investigation. Joy News' investigative journalist Manasseh Azuriawoni is here to help us understand matters better. Manasseh, welcome.
Thank you very much.
So how costly is this contract to the assemblies?
Well, you're looking at 3 already existing contracts that they are deducted from. If you take the whole common fund, before the disbursements are made, you find that 10% is taken upfront and paid to Zoomlion for the youth in sanitation model. Then they also have deduction for fumigation. They have deduction for sanitation improvement package. These ones are deducted at source, and they're about for the districts about 40,000, 42,000. Then if you take the fourth one, that one is taken when the money hits the accounts of the district assemblies. And this is about, we're talking about 80,000 cedis as an average, because if you are paying 60,000, most of them is 80,000. And I know the Sablegun and Tom municipality, they pay 100,000 cedis every quarter. Now, if you want to know,
the difference comes up because of their size, or?
It is because what we were told was that for their districts, they are supposed to pay 80,000, the municipalities 100,000, and then some up to 120,000.
Okay.
But for what we know that we have evidence for, we know the Upper East region, they were able to negotiate and pay 60,000 a quarter. So in a year, that's 240,000. If you take a municipality like Sablegun and Tom, they are paying 100,000 a quarter. So in a year, that's 400,000 cedis. Some also pay 80,000 cedis, a lot of them. But if you want to know how costly it is, then you should look at how much revenue some of the assemblies make. We went to one assembly in the Bonahafu region, Banda district. And the year 2016, we were told that all their internally generated funds, apart from the common fund, all that the assembly was able to make from property tax, everything, was 36,000 Ghana cedis. Wow. So without a common fund, there's nothing they can do. And so if they are supposed to pay about 320,000 cedis from this common fund, they can't bear it. So that's the toll it's having on them. Some have paid a quarter or two and are struggling to raise money to pay for the rest.
But looking at the financial wherewithal of these assemblies, could they not have done this work themselves?
They could. We actually got one district, the Tano North District in the Bonahafu region. There we are told the coordinating director then was very firm, and they decided not to sign the contract. And the reason is that if they even wanted, from what they told us, that if they even decide to inflate the cost of doing that work, they can get a bulldozer, and with the inflated cost, it won't exceed 5,000 cedis a quarter. Yet,
a quarter?
Yes. Yet they are paying 80,000 cedis a quarter. So in a year, they are saying it wouldn't cost them more than 20,000 cedis, even if they want to inflate the cost of doing this work. So they see no reason why they should go and pay 320,000 cedis when they can spend 20,000 cedis or less to do this work. A lot of the assemblies, what we realized on the ground was that this company only goes to push the refuse at the final disposal sites. And there are some of the assemblies, if you go to their final disposal sites, like the Bongo district, for instance, when we went, the place was burnt to ashes. Whatever reason, we don't know, but the place was burnt to ashes. Went to Sablegun and so the same thing. So a lot of the places,
there's no waste heap there.
Yes, so they don't need it. And if you take a district like Tolon and then Chiripone, for these districts, there were sand winning pits that have been abandoned. Very huge sand has been winned over the years, so they decided to use that place as a dumping site so that they will fill and reclaim the land.
So again, there's no heap there to clear.
They don't even need it, because the Zoom Lion truck operator there told us it would take about 14 years to even get enough refuse to fill the place. And if you go to Chereponi, we spoke to the Zoom Lion operator there, who told us, their district manager, who said for that district, when they even go to take the waste, the people are begging them, and these are his words, that they beg them to go and put it in their farms because it serves as manure. They don't generate a lot of plastics. So now, if you look at all of this, you realize that they don't actually need this service, but they were made to.
I'm sure the question on many of our viewers would be that if they don't need the service, why did they sign the contracts? I understand they say they were forced to sign these contracts. How did this happen?
Well, what we gathered from speaking to coordinating directors and assembly officials is that anytime the DCs go for their meetings, they are told what to do. We actually spoke to a former DC for Bomo District, Alexis Ayamdo, who told us this was a directive from above to have this done. And we have actually cited a letter signed by then local government minister, Collins Dauda. And the letter was written or dated 12 January 2016. When this thing was ongoing, people were resisting, that letter actually stated in part that they should take steps to ensure effective management of landfill sites in their jurisdiction, and that these orders would be strictly enforced. So some have told us that they are not happy with these contracts. They feel it's a rip-off. And what even annoys some of them is they were compelled to buy bulldozers from also the Jospon Group, and monies were deducted from source. And according to them, the bulldozers didn't even work for some of them. Laura, for instance, that the very first exercise, major exercise they used the bulldozer for, it broke down. Some didn't even finish paying when these machines broke down, and now they have to now go and pay the same source or group of company another money to render this service to them.
That's quite unfortunate, but I'm still trying to find that connection where an MMDCE who is in his office cannot just say, I will not sign a contract. But we learned some assemblies were able to resist it. How did that happen?
Yes, if you take the Town North District, for instance, the man who was the coordinating director then, we are told was very instrumental. There was a lot of pressure from the national, like the central government, the ministry, and a lot of government officials putting pressure on them. So even as we speak, the pressure is still being mounted. And I spoke to a DCA in this current administration who told me that when they came into office, one of the first things they had problems with was this contract. But when they met at the DC's orientation program at Medina, the way the ministers and others at the central government spoke, they had a fear that if they wanted to tamper with this contract, they may end up losing their job. And this particular district, we are told, the man there was a former BNI director, one of their regional directors. So he was one of those tough guys who did not fear. And actually, as we speak, he's left back to the security services. And we also spoke to one coordinating director who said, look, we are not happy with this, but if you resist, I have 3 children and a wife. If I'm sacked today, where am I going? So sometimes, not that we are stupid, but the way this system operates, you can't oppose your superior. So it came down to this individual who stood his ground and said, I will not sign the contract. I must also add that even when we visited, there was still pressure to sign the contract. And I don't know what has happened as we speak. Thank you very much, Manasseh Azuri-Awuni, for the work you're doing, first of all, and of course, for bringing us these details.